Introduction. Welcome to this session on data reports. By the end of this module, you will be able to identify aggregate functions like dsum, dcount, and dmax. Describe lookup functions. Create a pivot table. Explain the advanced options of pivot tables. Import and export data in Excel. Creating visual and data reports. Aggregate functions. First, let us see how to use aggregate functions like dsum, dcount, and dmax. In Excel, the dsum function allows you to total all the values in the specified field, column, of data range that meet the conditions stated in the criteria range. Syntax: dsum, database, field, criteria. For example, to calculate the time spent for each project by an employee. Dsum function. To insert dsum function, follow the given steps. Select the cell in which you want to insert the dsum function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select dsum in the Select a Function category and click on OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the database text box, select the required range of cells in your worksheet. For example, select C8 to E41, which contains the employee name, project name, and time worked columns. In the field text box, type a column label for the field in which you want to find the total. For example, type time worked in the field. In the criteria text box, select the cell range in the worksheet that contains the conditions you have specified. For example, select cells C3 to D4 to insert your condition. Click on the OK button. Type the employee name and project name in the condition field to get the result. Example, Jack and SQL. Now the Excel sheet will display the sum of time worked by Jack on the SQL project under the time worked column. Now we will see how to use dcount and dmax functions. In a similar way, you can use the dcount and dmax functions just by replacing dsum with dcount or dmax in the formula. In Excel, the dcount function allows you to count the number of cells in the specified field, column, of data range that meet the conditions stated in the criteria range. Syntax: dcount, database, field, criteria. The dmax function allows you to calculate the maximum of the values in the specified field, column, of data range that meet the conditions stated in the criteria range. Syntax: dmax, database, field, criteria. SumIf. The SumIf function in Excel counts the numbers in the cells within a range based on a single condition. Syntax: SumIf, range, criteria, sum_range. In this example, let us see how to calculate the total rainfall in a specific region, south, using the SumIf function. Select the cell in which you want to insert SumIf function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select SumIf in the Select a Function list and click on the OK button. Now the Function Arguments window will appear on your screen. In the Range text box, select the required range of cells in the region column. For example, B4 to B19. In the Criteria text box, type South to calculate the total rainfall in the southern region. In the sum_range text box, select the range of cells in the total rainfall centimeters column. Click on the OK button. So, if you type South in the criteria text box, Excel will search the South region in the region column and count the rainfall values for each southern region. The results will be displayed in the total rainfall column. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the total rainfall in the southern region as 252 centimeters. CountIf. The CountIf function in Excel counts the number of cells within a range based on a single condition. The syntax is CountIf, range, criteria. In this example, the number of students who have obtained an average mark more than 50% were 11. Now, let us see how to calculate the number of students who have obtained an average mark over 50% using the CountIf function. Select the cell in which you want to insert the CountIf function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select CountIf in the Select a Function category and click on the OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the Range text box, select the required range of cells in your worksheet. Example, B5 to B19. In the Criteria text box, type greater than 50 to calculate the number of students who have obtained an average mark more than 50%. Click on the OK button. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the number of students who have obtained an average mark over 50% in the column below the number of students obtained above 50% column. AverageIf. The AverageIf function in Excel returns the average of cells within a range based on a single condition. Syntax, AverageIf, range, criteria, average underscore range. In this example, let us calculate the average rainfall in a specific region, East, using the AverageIf function. Select the cell in which you want to insert the AverageIf function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select AverageIf in the Select a Function category and click on the OK button. In the Range text box, select the required range of cells in the Region column. Example, A4 to A19. In the Criteria text box, type East to calculate the average rainfall in the Eastern region. In the Average underscore range text box, select the required range of cells in the Total Rainfall centimeters column. Example, B4 to B19 that contains total rainfall values. Click on the OK button. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the average rainfall in the Eastern region in centimeters as 66 centimeters. SumIfs. The SumIfs function in Excel counts the numbers in the cells within a range based on a single or multiple conditions. Syntax, SumIfs, sum underscore range, criteria underscore range 1, criteria 1, criteria underscore range 2, criteria 2. In this example, let us calculate the total rainfall in a specific region in India, North, using the SumIfs function. Select the cell in which you want to insert the SumIfs function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select SumIfs in the Select a Function category and click on the OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the sum underscore range text box, select the required range of cells in column C. In the Criteria _ Range 1 text box, select the required range of cells in column A. In the Criteria 1 text box, type India to calculate the total rainfall in the northern region in India. In the Criteria _ Range 2 text box, select the required range of cells in column B. In the Criteria 2 text box, type North, click on the OK button. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the total rainfall in the northern region in centimeters of India as 49 centimeters. CountIfs. The CountIfs function in Excel counts the number of cells within ranges based on a single or multiple conditions. Syntax: CountIfs, Criteria _ Range 1, Criteria 1, Criteria _ Range 2, Criteria 2. Now, let us see how to calculate the number of students who have obtained an average mark above 40% and below 70% in the example data. Select the cell in which you want to insert the CountIfs function. Open the function arguments window and enter the required details as follows. In the Criteria _ Range 1 text box, select the required range of cells in your worksheet. Example, B5 to B19. In the Criteria 1 text box, type greater than 40. In the Criteria _ Range 2 text box, select the required range of cells in your worksheet. Example, B5 to B19. In the Criteria 2 text box, type less than 70. Click on the OK button. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the result 6 in the specified cell. AverageIfs. The AverageIfs function in Excel returns an average of cells within a range based on multiple conditions. Syntax: AverageIfs, average _ range, Criteria _ Range 1, Criteria 1, Criteria _ Range 2, Criteria 2. Let us calculate the average rainfall in the southern region of Russia using the AverageIfs function. Select the cell in which you want to insert the AverageIfs function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select AverageIfs in the Select a Function category and click on the OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the Average _ Range text box, select a range in the Total Rainfall column. In the Criteria _ Range 1 text box, select a range in the Region column. In the Criteria 1 text box, type South. In the Criteria _ Range 2 text box, select a range in the Country column. In the Criteria 2 text box, type Russia. Click on the OK button. Thus, the Excel sheet displays the average rainfall in the southern region in centimeters of Russia as 72.5 centimeters. ISError. The ISError function in Excel is used for testing out error values such as #NA, #value, #ref, #div/0, #num, #name, #null, and so on. Syntax: ISError value. If the value is an error value, the function will return true. If not, it will return false. In this example, let us learn how to use the ISError function in a worksheet. Select the cell in which you want to insert the ISError function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select ISError in the Select a Function category and click on the OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the value text box, select cell D5 in D column and click on the OK button. Since it is not an error, the Excel sheet will display the result as false in cell E5 of the error column. If you want to get the result of ISError function for the whole D column, then drag the E5 cell up to the E11 cell. ISBlank. The ISBlank function in Excel is used to test out blank, null values. Syntax: ISBlank value. If the value is a blank or null value, the function will return true. If not, it will return false. Using specialized functions. Now, we will see the lookup and reference functions. VLOOKUP function. The VLOOKUP function in Excel allows you to search for the value in the table's leftmost column of table_array and return the value in the same row in the index_number you specify. Syntax: VLOOKUP, lookup_value, table_array, call_index_num, range_lookup. In this example, let us find the product name for a specific ID. Select cell D3 to insert the VLOOKUP function. Click the Insert Function button. This will open the Insert Function window. Select All in the Or Select a Category drop-down list. Select VLOOKUP in the Select a Function list and click on the OK button. Now the function arguments window will appear on your screen. In the lookup_value text box, type or select cell C3, which contains the product ID E124. In the table_array text box, enter the required range in the table that contains the product ID and product name details. In the call_index_num text box, type 3, product name column. In the range_lookup text box, type false to find the exact match. Click on the OK button. Now the Excel sheet displays the product name for a specific product ID in cell D3. Now, drag the result in cell D3 down to cell D17. When dragging the VLOOKUP function down, the absolute cell reference remains the same, while the relative cell reference C3 changes to C4, C5, C6, etc. HLOOKUP function. In a similar way, you can use the HLOOKUP function. The HLOOKUP function in Excel allows you to search for the value in the table's top row of table_array and returns the value in the same column in the index_number you specify. Syntax: HLOOKUP, lookup_value, table_array, row_index_num, range_lookup. Match function. The match function returns the position of a value in a given range. Syntax: HLOOKUP, lookup_value, lookup_array, match_type. In the given example, database found is at position 5 in the range I6 to I13. The third condition, match_type, is optional. Enter this argument to 0 to return the position of the value that is accurately equal to lookup_value, E6. Index function. The index function is used to return a specific value in a two-dimensional or one-dimensional range. Syntax: index, array, row_num, column_num. In the given example, outlook found is at the intersection of row 6 and column 2 in the range F10 to G20. Summarizing data with subtotals. Excel offers a feature that enables you to quickly and easily add subtotals of a range of data. To summarize data with subtotals, click on the cell within a range you want to subtotal. Click the Data tab, then click the subtotal icon. This will open the subtotal dialog box. Click the At Each Change In drop-down list and then click the column you want to use to group the subtotals. In the Add Subtotal To list, click the checkbox for the column you want to summarize. Finally, click OK. Excel calculates the subtotals and then adds them into the range. A pivot table is a way to present information in a report format. The idea is that you can click drop-down lists and change the data that is displayed. The concept of pivot tables is a lot easier to grasp when you see them in action. Creating a pivot table. To create a pivot table, follow the given steps. The first thing you need to have for a pivot table is the data to go into it. In this example, the example worksheet consists of the total marks scored by Alyssa and Mary. Then select the data that will go into a pivot table from cells A1 to D37. On the Excel 2010 ribbon, click the Insert tab. In that tab, move your pointer to Table Groups, then click on Pivot Table. The Create Pivot Table dialog box will appear. In the dialog box, the address of selected range will be displayed in the Table Range text box. Select the New Worksheet radio button as the place where the pivot table will be placed. Click OK. When you click OK, Excel 2010 will present you with a complex layout. The area on the right side of your worksheet is the pivot table field list. It has tick boxes for month, subject, student, and score. There are 4 areas we can use to drag to. For the report filter, drag and drop the student. For the row labels, drag and drop the subject. For the column labels, we just have to add the month. The values will be the average scores. The pivot on your spreadsheet looks like this. If you only want to see the progress of Eliza in your worksheet, click on Student drop-down and select Eliza. Doing that will display the progress of Eliza. Field setting and styles in pivot tables. In your previous marksheet, the answers that you finally got are not correct. The reason the scores from your pivot table are so strange might be because Excel 2010 is using the wrong formula. It's using a sum total, but what you want to use is an average option of it. To change the formula in a pivot table, click on SumIf Score under the Values field area. You will see a menu. Select the Value Field Settings option to view this dialog box. Now change the formula from sum to average. Your average formula will be formatted to any decimal places. In order to remove your decimal points, click the Number Format button. Select Number from the category list. Set the decimal places to 0 and click on the OK button. Doing that removes the decimal points in your pivot table. Finally, click OK. You can add a choice of colors to your pivot table using these style options. To work with it, click anywhere in the pivot table and move your pointer to Design tab. You can find the styling options over here in the Pivot Table Style Options group. They are Row Headers. This applies special formatting to the first row of the table. Column Headers. This applies special formatting to the first column of the table. Banded Rows. It displays banded rows in which even rows are formatted differently from odd rows. Banded Columns. It displays banded columns in which even columns are formatted differently from odd columns. This banding can make your table easier to read. Next to this panel, There are lots of pivot table styles to choose from. You can see a live preview of your selection by moving your mouse pointer over these styles. Select one that catches your eyes. Here is our finished pivot table. Formatting and customizing pivot tables. To format a pivot table worksheet, select the range you want to format. Click the Home tab, then select the Format drop-down list in the Cells group. Now you can see the different format options in that list. To set the row height and column width manually, select Row Height and Column Width, respectively, from the cell size list, and then type the values you require. To set the row height and column width automatically, click Auto Fit Row Height and Auto Fit Column Width, respectively. Excel also allows you to hide or unhide rows or columns in a pivot table. Select the required rows or columns that you want to hide, and select Hide and Unhide List from the visible list. To hide the rows that you have selected, click the Hide Rows option from the Hide and Unhide list. To hide the columns that you have selected, click the Hide Columns option. To hide the entire sheet, click the Hide Sheet option. In a similar way, you can unhide rows, columns, and sheets by selecting these options in the Hide and Unhide list. Using advanced options of pivot tables, sorting data in a pivot table. Excel allows you to sort a pivot table either vertically or horizontally. This helps you to view the rows or columns that contain the greatest or least values. Select a cell from a column you want to sort. Click the Home tab, then select Sort and Filter from the Editing group. To arrange columns from A to Z, click Sort A to Z. To arrange columns from Z to A, click Sort Z to A. To custom sort, click Custom Sort to offer you various sorting options, such as sorting by multiple columns and rows and doing case-sensitive sorts. Displaying values as a percentage. Excel allows you to display values in percentage format in a pivot table. Move your mouse pointer to the cell in which you want to display values in percentage format. Right-click the cell and select the Show Values As list. Now you can view a list of options that shows different percentage formats. Choose any one of the options you require to display the selected cell as a percentage. Filtering data in a pivot table. Filtering tools allow you to filter specific data in a pivot table. In the pivot table, click the drop-down arrow on Column Label. Uncheck the checkbox near the Select All button to uncheck all the items in the list. Now, click the Required Fields checkbox. Click on the OK button. Now the pivot table will show only the selected fields. Adding calculated field. The pivot table can perform calculations in a new field that is defined by the user without inserting the field in the data. Now let us see how to write formulas in a pivot table for calculating the average marks of students. Select any one of the cells in the pivot table and select the Fields, Items, and Sets drop-down lists in the Calculations group. Now click Calculated Field to open Insert Calculated Field dialog box. In the Name text box, type the new field name Average. In the Formula text box, type Equal to Total by 5, then click on the OK button. Now the Excel sheet will show the average marks of students in a new field. Removing subtotals. To remove subtotals in a pivot table, select the Design tab in the toolbar. Select the Subtotals button. Click the Do Not Show Subtotals option in the list. Thus, Excel has removed all the subtotals so that they are no longer visible in the pivot table. Removing grand totals. To remove grand totals in a pivot table, select any cell from the pivot table and click Design tab in the Pivot Table Tools. Click the Grand Totals button from the Layout group. Select the Off for Rows and Columns option from the list. Thus, Excel has removed the specified grand totals in the pivot table. Excel allows you to create charts based on the data in a pivot table. These charts work more or less the same as ordinary Excel charts. To create a pivot chart, click on the pivot table, click on the Option tab, and move your pointer to a Tools group. In that group, click on Pivot Chart. Doing that opens up the Insert Chart dialog box. Choose the type of chart you want and then click OK to generate it. Your pivot chart will appear on the worksheet. Consolidating data from multiple sheets and files using pivot tables. Excel allows you to combine data from multiple sheets into one report. In this example, we are going to consolidate worksheets for employee designation, salary, and date of birth in a new worksheet. Open the new worksheet and press Alt-D and then type P. Pivot Table and Pivot Chart Wizard window will open on the screen. In Step 1 of 3, select Multiple Consolidation Ranges and Pivot Table Radio buttons and click the Next button. In Step 2A of 3, select Create a Single Page Field for Me radio button and click the Next button. In Step 2B of 3, select the range from the Employee Designation worksheet and then click the Add button. Then select the range from the Salary worksheet and click the Add button. Finally, select the range from the Date of Birth worksheet and click the Add button. Click the Next button. In Step 3 of 3, select the existing worksheet radio button and click on the Finish button. Now, Excel has created a pivot table with a multiple data consolidation range. Using external data sources. To use external data sources in your worksheet, click the Data tab. In the Get External Data group, you can find From Access, From Web, From Text, and From Other Sources. To use data from Microsoft Access Database, click the From Access option. To use data from the web, click the From Web option. To use data from a text file, click the From Text option. To use data from other sources, click the From Other Sources drop-down button. You can use any option from the list to import data from external sources to your worksheet. Consolidation feature in Excel allows you to merge data of different worksheets on a single worksheet. This helps to easily analyze and view data of various worksheets in one worksheet. In this example, we are going to calculate the average of 3 mark sheets using the consolidation feature. Select the range in Average Marks worksheet where you want to display the average marks of 3 model exams. Click the Data tab and select the Consolidate option from the Data Tools group. The Consolidate dialog box will appear. Now click Mark Sheet 1. Select the range you want to merge and click the Add button to add it in All References text box. In a similar way, add Mark Sheet 2 and Mark Sheet 3 in All References text box. Click the OK button. Thus, Excel has displayed the average of Mark Sheet 1, Mark Sheet 2, and Mark Sheet 3 in the Average Marks worksheet. Import data in Excel. Excel allows you to import text file types such as PRN, TXT, and CSV from various sources. There are a number of options available to import data that helps to avoid re-entering of information again. To import data into the worksheet, click on the cell in which you would like to import data. Click the Data tab and select From Text from the Get External Data group. Now the Import Text File window will appear. Select the file you want to import and click on the Import button. Now the Text Import Wizard window will appear on the screen, which will direct you to import data. Set the delimited radio button if the text has characters like commas, tabs, spaces, or semicolons for separating fields. Otherwise, select the fixed width radio button. The preview of the file is displayed below the Data Preview text box. Select the row number in the Start Import at Row field that you want to start the import. For example, select the number 5 if you would like to start the import at the 5th row. Click on the Next button. Select the delimiters from the list that you want to use to separate fields. For example, tab. To include your own characters, select the Other checkbox to enter the character you want. Click on the Next button. Select the required radio button in the Column Data Format option to select each column and set data format. Click on the Finish button. Now the Import Data window will appear on your screen. Select the cell in the worksheet in which you want to import data and click OK. Now Excel has imported the data in the selected worksheet. The dsum function in Excel allows you to total all the values in the specified field of data range that meet the conditions stated in the criteria range. The CountIf function counts the number of cells within a range based on a single condition. The AverageIf function returns the average of cells within a range based on a single condition. The SumIfs function counts the numbers in the cells within a range based on a single or multiple conditions. The ISBlank function is used to test out blank, null values. The index function is used to return a specific value in a two-dimensional or one-dimensional range. A pivot table is a way to present information in a report format. Excel allows you to sort a pivot table either vertically or horizontally. It also allows you to create charts based on the data in a pivot table. Consolidation feature in Excel allows you to merge data of different worksheets on a single worksheet.